Graduation afternoons in Sydney tend to hang in a muggy hush, the sky pressed low and static. Even the harbor seems to slow, the sunlight splitting lightly across the opera house shells. But my day, that day, squirmed louder than December cicadas. My older sister, Megan, sat 2 rows back with a forced, frankly theatrical smile, neither proud nor exactly embarrassed. My father, reading a racing form, smirked when my name was announced. Grandpa Arthur only bothered to look up when he thought the free champagne was making another round. Principal Shortman had told me, just before the ceremony, that as valedictorian, I'd be allowed a speech. That meant everything to me. A chance for once to speak without my voice echoing back strangely off walls, distorted by other people's expectations. He nodded sagely as I approached the microphone, the heavy navy gown all wrong on my narrow shoulders. I began. I want to thank everyone for supporting me through. A cough from the seats drew my eyes. Megan rolled hers. I tried again. Through the years. I know my dream seems unusual, making instruments. Luthiery. Dad pointedly stopped flipping his paper. He barked something. Bloody hobby, Ben. Someone snickered. Then the principal's hand appeared on my shoulder, gentle but casual, as if he were stopping to water a plant. Let's move on, he muttered under his breath, gently guiding me from the mic. Time is short. His mouth smiled. His eyes were glass. A polite, scattered applause, then the next name. Jenny Hartwell going into law. The crowd roared. I collected my diploma in silence, my ears buzzing with the memory of my grandfather at our dinner table, snorting into his peas. Ben, no one wants to pay for bloody guitars when there's proper work to do. Join the firm. Make us proud, son. As we left, Dad clapped a meaty hand on my back. You'll get over it, mate. Build real things. People need houses, not bloody violins. I nodded, the resolve hard under my tongue. I'd learned to store words away, years ago, like saving coins for a future where my voice might carry further. I spent the next year in the converted laundry behind the house, a concrete block forever cold and leaky, trying to copy the shape of an old Ibanez Megan had found at a garage sale. The house wasn't quiet. Megan's friends shrieked in the kitchen. Mom's talk radio ran all day, and Dad sometimes rumbled through looking for spare fuses, muttering about dust and waste of time. I worked through it all, forming the ash and spruce with battered chisels, teaching myself by mistake, a gouge too deep, a seam split wide beneath impatient glue. Some mornings when the city was new and pale, I'd walk to the park by the train line, sketching curves of cellos and the shadowed scrolls of old violins. The city's constant movement, buses wheezing past, the metallic shriek of brakes, shaped my rhythm. I'd return to the laundry and sand, sand, the wood softening beneath my hands like the memory of a promise. One Sunday, Megan stopped by the door. She watched without stepping in, arms folded. Still at it? A shrug from me. They say it takes 10,000 hours. Yeah, and how many pay slips? Her lip curled. Maybe you should ask Dad to build you a shed. At least he'd believe you did something. I nodded, swallowing the urge to argue. I had no big words, just splinters and dust on my jeans. After enough months, the house air changed. Cautious sympathy turned to thin-lipped resentment. At my cousin's wedding, relatives clustered at a distant table while I sat alone, muscles tight from hours at the bench, hands cracked. The subject of my hobby always surfaced, with laughter or with sighs. You can't eat music, Ben, Grandpa said. One day you'll realize none of this matters. I left early, walking the long way through the city, my jacket pulled close. By sunset, I knew I couldn't stay. Sydney was full of rooms to leave, not enough to grow into. If I stayed, I'd rot alongside the old tools and bitter conversations. I pulled what little money I had left and emailed a luthier in Hobart, known for classical guitars. He agreed to take me as an assistant, Part-time, no promises. I packed in silence. Her hands moved with an economy I envied, coaxing living music from the dry, silent wood. She let me fail, let me try again. She listened when I explained how I'd shaped necks, how my mistakes led to new forms. Chisels, she told me, taping my split thumb, aren't forgiving. Your body has to teach your mind, not the other way. She said little else, but in that silence I found a strange respect. Not applause or encouragement, but space. It was a life built on pattern. Mornings of glue and planing. Afternoons spent listening, to Rachmaninoff, to the Saints, to the click of a thumb against spruce. Letta only raised her voice for one reason. Listen. Stop trying so hard to make it perfect. Listen. I learned slowness. I learned when not to touch, when to bind, how to read the old rings in a slab of maple like the lines of a face. Some nights I would hear cello lines in my dreams, surfacing between the wind and the bone cold. I woke with hands aching, ready to work. I ate instant noodles and grew thin, but my guitars began to sing. Lena took them out to the Saturday market sometimes. A few players stopped by, pressed notes from the body, nodded with pursed lips. They aren't perfect, Lena said on a particularly blue August afternoon, but they breathe. Somehow. I wanted to tell her, in that moment, how alone I'd felt, how every slab I chose was a protest against the family's mockery, but I simply nodded. Resolve was a quiet thing. My first sale was to a busker named Omar, who wept openly when he tested the instrument. "It whispers, mate," he said, tracing the bridge. I handed it over, barely remembering to collect the bills. Lena, uncharacteristically, patted my shoulder. We boxed it up. That night I called Dad. "I sold one," I said. "A guitar, my own." He sighed, lips smacking over the line. "To who? A real shop?" "A musician. They loved it." He didn't answer for a long moment. "Way? You'll need luck, I reckon. That won't last." I hung up, missing Lena's silence. Word traveled in the narrowest possible circles. A session guitarist in Launceston bought a 12-string I'd built with recycled hew and pine. A local paper did a short piece on young luthiers reviving Tasmania's musical craft. I kept working, saving for bigger dreams, better woods, more patience. I lost track of Sydney's rhythms. My friends there faded to static on social media. Megan posted photos of her engagement, the family in matching Christmas jumpers. No one mentioned me. I became a background story, the strange cousin, making little guitars in some southern shed. 6 years passed. 6 solid years. Bands, buskers, classical musicians, every one with their own blunt feedback. But a few wrote real letters, thanking me. 2 even played my guitars on proper albums, and I saved those credits, quietly, for a day when I might feel homesick enough to look them up. I fell in love with a clarinetist named Wei, who taught music at the university. We had a small apartment cluttered with odd instruments. On evenings when the city was painfully quiet, she'd let me try her old clarinet reeds while we drank wine, laughing about my tuneless honking. Sometimes, watching her play under lamplight, I felt the simple kind of joy I'd only read about. Life was small, but sure. The real break came in the last winter before I came home. A celebrated Sydney violinist, Josephine Webb, visited Lena's shop hunting for a repairman. She tested my viola, a piece I'd labored on for months, the curves cut sharper, the varnish layered over weeks, not days. Her eyes narrowed with each glissando. "Did you build this?" she asked, sharp, direct. Lena nodded toward me with her chin. "I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request." Webb smiled for the first time, a flash of teeth. "It sings, Ben. Not every instrument does." We talked through the process. I'd read her interviews over and over as a teenager. She was all I'd ever hoped to hear play my work. She offered on the spot to buy the instrument. A month later, the viola appeared in a concert at the Sydney Town Hall. Webb credited a